Now, I don't know about you folks, I wasn't exactly a fan of the latest Indiana Jones film. It was just a little too far-fetched for my liking, and the sci-fi ending was completely goofy and out of place. Well, that's what I've come to expect from George Lucas these days, as recently he has developed a habit of butchering his own timeless franchises. And yes, George, Han Solo did actually shoot first, meaning you can keep your poxy remakes, thank you very much. Will he ever learn? I very much doubt that. Yes, Lucasfilm's recent track record does make for depressing reading, doesn't it? So in times of despair, I myself look back at the glory days, and not just the films themselves, but also the video game gems that were released back then. Believe it or not, the video game arm of George's company called Lucasarts back in the 1990s created some of the finest video game titles of the decade, many of which have gained cult status, with fans still reminiscing about them to this very day. LucasArts back in their heyday were pretty much untouchable, as they experienced huge commercial and critical success in the games that they developed, becoming the masters of the point-and-click genre. Their special brand of humour, fantastic writing and innovative set pieces combined together to create truly memorable experiences. So this is where I now talk about one of my personal favourites, with Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. The Fate of Atlantis, or Indy 4 for short, was released in 1992 and was one of the first Indiana Jones games to boast a completely original storyline separate from the films. The game, on the PC version, was released in 2 iterations. The first version was released on multiple floppy disks, and the second version was released on CD-ROM format, which for the first time featured digitised voice acting. This was done as floppy drives were quickly becoming insufficient for more memory-intensive titles. The story takes place in 1939 before World War II erupts, and Dr. Jones acquires a mysterious artefact found by his associate Marcus. The artefact then gets stolen by a certain Mr. Smith, who turns out to be a government agent called Klaus Kerner, who is working for the Third Reich. Indy then works out that Kerner's next target will be his ex-colleague Sophia Hapgood, who he worked with on a previous archaeological expedition in Iceland. Sophia herself has lost interest in archaeology and now has become a psychic, giving seminars to audiences about the mythical city of Atlantis. Indy then tracks her down, and they discover that Nazis have stolen many artefacts from Sophia's study while distracted. She then goes on to explain that Nazis were trying to find out the lost city of Atlantis to gain the legendary metal called orichalcum, which is said to hold more power than uranium. Now, if that isn't an engaging piece of storyline, I really don't know what is. The mixture of real-life elements with poetic myths and legends really do make for a hugely entertaining piece of video game design. Notably, this game isn't in the traditional A to B setup, as Fate of Atlantis encouraged the player to partake in multiple playthroughs, with 3 quests to complete in all. Each quest had to be completed differently, as each had its own particular playing style designed for different player types. One is more suited for the puzzle solvers, another is more suited for the action orientated, and the last is suited for those who prefer working as a team. The quests can be completed in any order, giving the player opportunity to pick the adventure type he or she wants to play. Also, the music here still remains great to listen to, as it has a certain distinctive atmosphere, ranging from the lonely themes of Iceland to the bouncy melodies of Monte Carlo. It is a real treat just to stand round and listen to the compositions, and this is all thanks to the innovative iMuse system. iMuse, also known as Interactive Music Streaming Engine for the geeks out there, enabled music composers to set the mood by matching audio sequences to events that happened on screen. For example, as a character comes close to something important, the music subtly crossfades to a new theme seamlessly, keeping the flow of music appropriate to the setting. The iMuse system was created out of Michael Land's frustration while composing work for previous title Monkey Island 2, as he was having difficulties syncing his work with the game. Since becoming a huge success, the system has seen multiple appearances in many LucasArts games since 1991. The visuals are hugely pleasing throughout. Granted, they are not composed of state-of-the-art CGI textures and polygons. It is 1992 after all. What you do get though is the trademark Lucasarts touch, with nicely stylised character sprites and lovely realised backgrounds. So it's classic 2D visuals in a nutshell, and you shouldn't really ask any more in a point-and-click adventure, especially when you're in the shoes of Indiana Jones, for crying out loud. The premise in this game is very simple. You control either Indy or Sophia to try and solve puzzles to reach your objective. You walk around the screen by clicking where you want to go, with items of interest appearing in the text bar. Inventory spaces for items are placed at the bottom right, and the action verbs are placed on the bottom left. So essentially you don't need a manual to play this game, as everything is self-explanatory. This interface is called SCUM, or Script Creation Utility for Maniac Mansion, as this is the same point-and-click design taken from that title, albeit with an updated look with simplified action commands. SCUM was created to allow designers to create set pieces, various props and dialogue sequences without locking the code to a particular platform, meaning the game can be developed using the same engine and can then be ported to other systems much more easily. Wow, this is a video full of nerdy references, isn't it? I will tone it down next time, I promise. Looking at the overall package then, it's still an impressive achievement in its own right, even more so when it's still the case when so few titles have come close to matching its high standards even after 17 years. It's a testament to a time where developers actually put effort into their titles, instead of relying on monotonous sequels and unoriginal plot lines, so it's totally unsurprising that many gamers still call the 90s the golden age of video games. So when looking at the Indiana Jones franchise in particular, this statement couldn't be any more truthful, as recent game adaptations don't really do the series justice in my view. Releases such as The Emperor's Tomb, for example, are totally uninspired and tiresome to play, and same goes for those irksome LEGO interpretations. So this is why I totally recommend tracking down a copy to give it a whirl, and thankfully there are methods to play your old DOS titles on modern systems. Managed to find your dusty copy buried in your attic? No problem. Just download a freeware program such as DOSBox or the SCUM Virtual Machine, then you're all set. Or, if you prefer, the title is also available to download through Valve's Steam service and also comes as an exclusive unlockable extra in the Wii version of Staff of Kings. It's ironic really when Staff of Kings, the main game, is completely rubbish. So stop listening to me rant and go play the game for yourself, as my video doesn't really do it much justice. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for more.
Excuse me.
What?
What do we do now?
Let's find Omar Al-Jabbar.
Ah, Algeria.
Hmm.
What do we do now?
Let's find Omar Al-Jabbar.